So it's really a challenge to find A players for a startup. And if you don't have A players, you're not going to build an A company. So, we're in the headhunting recruiting business. This is what we do full time, is find great people. We're very good at it. We have a very experienced team, and we have 20,000 names in the database, and if the A players are not there for this position that we're recruiting for at this exact moment, we'll reach out and find great people. We're looking for people that have had great success. We're looking for people that absolutely have to have startup experience, because if you haven't worked in a startup, you don't know what it's like. And people are working in a startup 70, 80 hours a week as opposed to the normal 40 hours a week that the average person works in the United States. So we're looking for somebody who's dedicated, motivated, loves what our client is doing, has had successful experience, and is willing to pay the price in terms of time of making this startup successful. So, without a team of great, smart people, you're not going to build a great company. So, sometimes what we see is, and we tell companies, you need to hire people who are smarter than you. And some people say, well, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that. But you really need to, because if you bring people on who are not quite as smart as you, and they hire people who are not quite as smart as them, after 6 months or a year, you've got a team of very ordinary people. I mean, if you look at the great companies, you look at the leaders of those companies, they're really sharp, really successful, and have done a great job of hiring people, which is not easy. I mean, it's a long process, not an easy process to hire and interview and hire and then train great people. I think something that's really important that gets left out often is the startups are thinking about their product and what they're going to do with it, what they're going to do with the money, but they're not putting themselves in the place of the potential investors. And I, as an investor, and many of my investor friends are selfish. So we're saying, what's in it for me? So you have to tell me, look, if you put $50,000 or $25,000 or $100,000 in this deal, I think in 3 or 5 years you have a chance of getting a 10x return. So your 100,000 could be worth $1 million. And here's our exit strategy, and we have relationships already with some of the potential acquirers. So being focused on what's in it for the investor. Another thing that I think is important, and I think that companies from Europe I've seen have a problem with this, and that's, you need a strong 5-year projection. You need to be able to say, hey, in 5 years this is where we think we'll be. Yes, it may be an optimistic projection, but Europeans sometimes tend to be, not as flamboyant as Americans, and say, well, gee, it'd really be hard for us to become a $30 million company by the end of 5 years. But we're looking for companies that can be 200 or 300 million, and so I think you have to think big, be audacious. I mean, we say here in the States, anything is possible. You need to come to us with that same attitude, and we all know that you may not hit your numbers, but we need to aim high. Everybody needs to aim high, both the startups and investors.